Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing good and taking good care of themselves. So today I'm going to talk about why disconnecting from toxic people is right. It's okay to disconnect from toxic people. So why do we disconnect in the first place? For a healthy person to disconnect from another person, the reasons are toxicity. The reasons could be lack of happiness. The reason could be lack of emotional well-being. The reason could be abuse. It could be endless reasons, and the reasons mostly are such reasons which doesn't make us feel happy, which doesn't make us feel right. And that is the time when we decide that we need to cut our ties, we need to disconnect, we need to disassociate, we need to stay away. See, what happens is that if we go on being in a toxic relationship, we get drained, we get exhausted, we lose our vitality, we lose our inner peace and happiness, we lose our self-confidence, we gradually lose ourselves. So it is all the more essential to immediately disconnect from toxic relationship. And that is why it is absolutely right to be selfish and choose your mental peace, to choose yourself first. Because as it is, the toxic relationship doesn't improve anything. Instead, it keeps on making you feel miserable. You keep on feeling you keep on feeling as if you are exploited, cheated, abused, or you are not validated. Your insecurities or your vulnerabilities are used against you to control you. Yes, so if these things are there, what is the use of being in such a relationship? But in our dysfunctional toxic society, we are taught, we are forced into believing, and we are taught that we should compromise. Compromise is the key for a healthy relation. But I personally feel compromise, if there is need for compromise, definitely there is some amount of exploitation and abuse happening. Otherwise, it should be fair play, it should be equal reciprocation, it should be fair play, and there should be no reasons to compromise. If I'm good, I'm healthy, and if I'm putting up my best, and if I'm being absolutely open and honest, why should I be in a relationship with a devious person? Why should I be with a dishonest person? Why should I be someone who just does it and the other one doesn't do it? So it should be equal. And when there is no equal participation, the relation becomes stagnant, the relation becomes, as it is, toxic, because of less circulation, because of less freshness, less activity, less dynamics. So it's absolutely fine, it's absolutely fine to let go of such toxic relationships. Often with this notion of compromise that we are forced on, and that we grow up with this idea that if we compromise, things will turn out to be better someday. But it doesn't. Trust me, nothing changes. A toxic person remains toxic, and he can only change, he or she can only change if that person wants to change. Otherwise, how can I change a toxic person? The toxic person already has a rigid sense of self, where he or she knows that they are okay, they have this sense of entitlement, and they think everything is right. They don't validate your emotion, they don't validate your feelings. So one-sided relationships don't take you anywhere. One-sided relationships empty you one-sided relationships makes you feel more and more saturated in an empty way. Yeah, and that is the reason most of these most of the relationships and most of the people go through this very weird phase in their life, when when they have family, when they have wife, when they have kids, husband, everything is there, but still they feel empty. They feel a very weird emptiness, though the family is full, though the family appears to be happy, but that is not the case. There is some underlying issues which is not addressed, or which is masked, or which is covered, which is ignored, which is denied, and which people are not addressing to, and that is what is creating this feeling of being empty despite of being surrounded with fullness. So yes, disconnecting and cutting ties with a toxic person, or cutting ties from a toxic relationship is absolutely okay, because see, any relationship, the ideal goal of any relationship is to make you a better version of yourself, make you a happier human being, to make you a better human being, to make you an efficient human being, to make you someone who feels happy, someone who feels confident, someone who really feels good, whoever and however they are. So this is what relationships are. It's an ongoing process, but it's an equal nourishment of thoughts, nourishment of emotions, and both grow together. But if there is no growth, there is no emotional maturity, there is no emotional stability, one feels as if one is stunted, the growth is stunted, and one feels suffocated, one feels choked. So the solution is to cut ties, but before cutting ties, one should talk about it. If things are not working out in a relationship, or if you see the signs that this relationship is toxic, first try and enforce and create your own boundaries, and tell them, help them understand that this is your boundary and they should respect your boundaries. Still, if they are failing to understand, I think cutting ties becomes inevitable. One has to cut tie. So yes, there is really nothing that one gets from a dysfunctional toxic relationship. Instead, we ruin ourselves, we ruin and we forget our true self, we forget being truly happy, we forget experiencing joy, we forget sleeping peacefully, we forget feeling happy about ourselves, we forget taking care of ourselves, we forget loving ourselves, we forget doing things which once we used to love doing, we forget showing love towards ourselves. It's all we get into such an abyss where we are just busy taking care of others' needs. So yes, toxic relationships are not good. Stay away from toxic relationship, and it's absolutely okay, because see, you have to live in a toxic relationship. Others will come and give their piece of knowledge and they'll go away. Who has to bear it? Who has to live with it? It's you who has to live with it. So why to live in constant misery just to please others and get validation from others? Whereas you can cut ties from a toxic relationship and be free and live the way how you want. because toxic relationships are just going to, you know, limit your growth, and they're not going to take you anywhere. So it's absolutely fine to let go of toxic relationships. It's absolutely fine disconnecting. It's absolutely fine cutting ties from toxic people and toxic relationship. Think about it and do let me know your, you know, views and thoughts. And please do like, share, subscribe this channel. And in case if you want to add in something or share some experience, you can always comment below. Please take care of yourself and say no to abuse, say no to exploitation, and say no to toxicity. Leave no room for toxicity in your life. Yeah. Bye.